Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been around in the cryptocurrency market for this cycle so far, it will be no surprise to you to hear me say that the altcoin market and altcoins in general have been quite underwhelming, at least up until this point in time. Now, there's been periods of altcoin outperformance, there's been periods in which altcoins have done well, but the problem with this cycle for altcoins so far has been we are in a quite a dramatically different movement and structural environment. So every cycle is different. We know that for a fact. 2013, for example, our first cycle on Bitcoin since the first halving in 2012, just the year before, was characterized by two significant major run-ups with a gap in between. We had a different structure in 2017. It was a very linear kind of just upwards to the upside. There was small little breaks in between with 30% corrections here and there, but for the most part, it was just straight to the upside. Very easy cycle to trade and invest in that one was. In 2021, we had a supply squeeze, okay, and we went way upwards in price very dramatically, way too fast, corrected downwards, saw a second exponential move to the upside and peaked out. So we had kind of a double top-ish kind of structure there in 2021. And this time, we're seeing something different yet again. We're seeing significant and sharp moves to the upside, followed by very extensive, long and boring consolidations. We've seen that once, we've seen that twice, and we're seeing it a third time right now. So each cycle is different. We're seeing a different thing this time. And the problem is, this time, this kind of structure of sharp moves to the upside and then drawn out long, boring consolidations is boring, long consolidations don't encourage people to invest in high-risk altcoins. There's no euphoria, there's no greed in the market during these boring, long consolidations. And so what you see is altcoins just dying from a war of attrition, essentially. So the question is, will altcoins become viable in this bull market? And when will they become viable? Where is the buying point on the chart that I'm looking at? How am I even defining that buying point? That's what we're looking at today, guys. Before we get into it, check out the exchanges. The Bitfinex exchange, a global non-KYC exchange that you can sign up from anywhere in the world to if you're interested. It's never been hacked before. It's very low in trading fees, very reputable so far. The same thing as BitGet in a lot of ways, except BitGet is top 5 in global trading volume. It's been around for a few years, but it is KYC. So different use cases here. It's not accessible from the USA. So take your pick, depending on your geographical location, depending on what you're looking for an exchange. They both fit different utilities and use cases, and they're both very, very good. I use them both personally. With my referral link down below, you can get a permanent 15% trading fee discount. You can save literally thousands with that discount if you're trading on leverage or you're trading regularly or just anything, right? You're paying less in fees. So use those links down below if you're interested. Let's get into the content. The cycle moves based on dates, not based on structure, and not based on price. It's very important to understand that. That's why I explain in the introduction that every cycle is different structurally, but all cycles are the same in terms of their date range trend. As I said before, the problem with this structural cycle so far, the structure in this cycle so far, is that it's not being favorable to the market conditions in which altcoins generally become prioritized as investments from the investors, from the retail. Retail thrives on greed. They thrive on euphoria and hype. Now, the problem is we've been seeing long, drawn-out consolidations. No hype exists during a consolidation. The only thing that's happening is people going to sleep, essentially, and hibernating, and coming back when something big happens in the news that drives the price upwards again. So we need a trigger. We need a breaking point. We need to identify a breaking point in which this could change, in which we will see the next move for Bitcoin and hence for altcoins. It's uncertain, basically. It's hard to tell. I'd say it's impossible to tell whether we will see a traditional altcoin season in the sense that people mean when they talk about an altcoin season, which is basically they're talking about a 2017 type altcoin season where everything just 100x's brainlessly and it just goes up for months and months and months and then it tops out. It's impossible to know if we'll see that again. We just don't know. What we do know is that when Bitcoin moves upwards, right, money filters down into altcoins because we see a Bitcoin move. Okay, we have the money cycle flow here. Money goes into Bitcoin from stables. From Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes upwards massively. It maxes out on its local move. Okay, people get bored of Bitcoin. They see it stagnating. They chuck their money into Ethereum. Ethereum follows. They chuck their money into altcoins when they get bored of Ethereum. And then it goes back into stable coins, which means people sell. The market consolidates or goes downwards. That's how cryptocurrency moves, especially in a bull market. And even in this cycle so far, believe it or not, that's how it's been moving. You will notice whenever Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin's going upwards first, and it's going upwards more majorly. When Bitcoin starts slowing down towards the peak of the move, that's when that's when altcoins start catching up and moving more advanced and better and stronger than Bitcoin. So when I show you the trigger point for altcoins here, I'm not necessarily showing you the trigger point for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin trigger will happen before the altcoin trigger point. This will happen probably during or after the next Bitcoin move if we do continue to see a traditional cycle. So let's get straight into it. Generally speaking, we've had a 4-year cycle on Bitcoin that's also been followed on Bitcoin dominance, of course, because obviously Bitcoin controls the market, and so it makes sense that we see altcoin cycles just like we see Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. And generally speaking, altcoin season has lasted about 322 days. It happened in 2017. It happened in 2021 as well, about 322 days of altcoin season. The problem is this time, if we were to see a 322-day altcoin season from here, it would drag out past the expected deadline of the 4-year cycle. It would go all the way to December, which is about 2 months past the deadline of the 4-year cycle. Not necessarily, an impossibility. It could certainly happen. There could be a slight extension to the cycle by a matter of 2 months. That doesn't seem like it would necessarily invalidate anything too major, but it's not perfect. And seeing as it's not perfect, I'm not really willing to use it as a data point. What I will use as a data point for the altcoin buying and for a trigger for when to buy altcoins or when to see altcoins are strong again is a shift in momentum on the Bitcoin dominance chart and a shift in momentum on the Ethereum BTC chart. I'm not looking at the prices. I'm not looking at the price of Ethereum, for example, or the price of Bitcoin. It's irrelevant. What I'm looking for is a shift in the market dynamic in which altcoins will start outperforming Bitcoin. That is what an altcoin season is. An altcoin season is altcoins outperforming Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin dominance going downwards is the best indicator of an altcoin season, because it means on a generalized scale, on a broad market scale, altcoins are doing better than Bitcoin. So what would symbolize a shift in momentum on a Bitcoin dominance chart or an Ethereum dominance chart, and hence what would symbolize a shift into an altcoin dominant market environment, which would be synonymous with altcoin strength? Well, in my view, it would be something like the weekly chart Gaussian channel on the Bitcoin dominance chart breaking downwards. This has been an influential indicator on Bitcoin dominance in the past. You can see when we cross below or above the center line of this Gaussian channel, we continue through it. We did it right here. We crossed above the center line, consolidated for a bit, bounced off of it once more. From that bounce, we saw a trigger and we continued right to the upside. Over here, we found support on the center line. We went down into a scoop below it, came back up, found resistance, broke down again, and moved right through it to the downside, seeing that altcoin season. And right now, as you can see, it's been validated once more in recent price history. We've come into the Gaussian channel, found support near that center line, bounced to the upside. When this breaks downwards, okay, if it breaks downwards or when it breaks downwards, that will be a shift in momentum on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which in my view would validate a decision to get into altcoins. Obviously, depending on other market dynamics, where Bitcoin is, etc., but that would be step one to doing so. In a similar fashion, if we're looking at Ethereum strength in relation to Bitcoin, while recognizing that Ethereum leads the altcoin market, we need to look for a shift in momentum on the Ethereum BTC chart as well. Okay, so this is a chart that measures the strength of Ethereum in relation to Bitcoin directly rather than in relation to US dollars, giving us a better example or a better visualization of how Ethereum and hence the altcoin market is doing against Bitcoin. Well, we had this massive descending channel formation, which I assumed would have broken to the upside. But apparently not. Apparently, this cycle is just not behaving completely conventionally for altcoins. We broke downwards, actually. And I suppose there's good news and bad news here. The bad news is we probably should have gone upwards there if we were going to be timing this altcoin market and altcoin season perfectly. The good news is the resistance line of that channel formation is still valid, even though the support line is not, because it's broken. So that is what I'm using as a momentum indicator here on the Ethereum BTC chart, alongside the weekly chart RSI's strong resistance line stepping backwards from 2021. If both of these white lines break on the screen, which I assume would happen at the same time as the Bitcoin dominance chart breaking below its Gaussian channel, that would be an adequate shift of momentum on the Ethereum BTC chart to indicate to me that altcoins and Ethereum are regaining strength against Bitcoin again, and we can start to get interested once more. Honestly, even if just the RSI did that, that would be adequate. The price chart line is still quite a ways away. And finally, to bring a price chart into this, as for the altcoin market cap in general, which is the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap, measures the total valuation of altcoins, so no Ethereum, no Bitcoin, just altcoins, it would quite simply need to break its high, which is, the all-time high from 2021, and also a high that we've rejected from on 2 occasions, on 2 separate attempts in the last few months. It would need to break that level, and breaking that level will trigger the next macro move from a charting perspective as well. So there's a few breakers I'm looking at for the altcoin market, generally speaking. Not necessarily in order to trigger an altcoin season, because it depends on how you define it. It's quite a nuanced thing to answer. Whether where the altcoin season will start, it's a nuanced question. It depends what you define as an altcoin season as well. A lot of people have a lot of different definitions. But in order to trigger a significant shift in momentum towards altcoins, okay, away from Bitcoin and towards altcoins, which would only happen, by the way, in a Bitcoin bull market, we would need to be seeing a shift on this weekly chart RSI for Ethereum BTC, a breakdown from this Gaussian channel on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and finally, and probably most importantly, a break to the upside on the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap above its all-time high. Those things would do a lot to bring back strength to the altcoin market and signify that altcoins are good once again. So guys, hopefully you found that video to be insightful. At the moment, there's just more consolidation, more boringness in the market. But I encourage you to check out my video yesterday I did on Bitcoin. I highlighted what Bitcoin needs to do. So yesterday I kind of highlighted what Bitcoin needs to do, and today I highlighted what altcoins need to do. And so now it's just a waiting game. Apologies if the delivery was quite sloppy, guys. I filmed this in a bit of a rush. Hopefully you found it intelligible regardless. Again, check out those exchanges, Bit2Nix and BitGet. Bit2Nix being global non-KYC, having never been hacked before. It's got a very good track record, very reputable exchange. And BitGet, top 5 trading volume, used by millions and millions of people. It's been around for a while. You've probably heard of it. The referral links are down below, so take your pick, and with those referral links, either of them, you'll get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, so get on a good exchange. You're trusting them with your money. You're trusting them that you're paying them trading fees every time you take a trade. You want to be on a good one. Use the links down below if you're interested. And last but not least, our VIP group on Telegram. We trade altcoins on there 4 times a week. I post altcoin trading signals directly to the VIP members. There's about 160 of them. If you want to become one of them and join the ranks, you can do so. All the information's down below. Thank you guys. Have a good night or day, depending on where you are. Appreciate it.